Hi everyone, it's your Uncle Torloth here. It's time to have the localization talk. This is a doozy, and I need to try and not get super political with it, because at the end of the day, this is video games, right? We're talking about video games, we're talking about manga, we're talking about anime. We are talking about entertainment, correct? Alright. Now, what are things that don't belong in our entertainment? That don't need to be added to our entertainment? Current burning political issues. If you want to make a joke about that in your game, that's on you. But the thing is that it doesn't make things better. What do I mean by that? What I mean is when your job isn't to write a new game or whatever, is to take a game that exists and translate it so that others can understand it. Your job is not to inject your own politics into it. Look, when I translate something, even if I don't like the character, I try to understand their point of view. I know that can be hard for some people. I know people will be like, oh, I don't like this character. And there's been a lot of that. Even with the series we've been translating, Kimi to warikoto ga shitai. It translates to, I want to do bad things with you. But not lewd, just bad things. Because he's supposed to be the villain. People get emotional about things. People are not reasonable about things. And I understand that. But the problem is that a person wrote whatever you're translating a certain way for a certain reason. And when you change the context, or you change a factor about it, or you censor something to make it fit with your agenda and your roles and your ideals, it's no longer the original writers. You are literally plagiarizing. Not even plagiarizing. It's not the right word. You are literally defacing and degrading the original. Do you now? Some people be like, "Oh, it was better." Like the burning example is if you watch Ghost Stories, where the voice actors just literally take a crap on it. I know people have been like, "Oh, that show wasn't very good to begin with." Okay, but that should not be marked as a. I'm all for a parody, or we're gonna just. This is not representative of the final product. You know, this dub, it is a parody, or because it's not accurate. Now, some people love that, and that's fine. You're allowed to love and watch something and it be a complete mockery of the original and enjoy that. You're allowed, but you should be informed that it is a mockery of the original and not an accurate representation of the original. Both can exist. They can exist simultaneously. What's happening here is localizers are bastardizing characters for their own benefit and their own political ideals. Now, there's also some other there's also like putting modern slang in things. And I love when people go, modern slang. Japanese has slang too. Yes. Yes. But I'm going to be honest with you for a second, everyone. And that if you just say that, oh, well, they have slang, so I can just use our slang. It's not true. It doesn't work. You should boil it down to the basic meaning and try and use something a little more timeless. Because these shows, these games, this media does not exist inside a vacuum. At some point, someone will go back to read it. Or they'll see it and they'll read it 10, 15, or watch it 10, 15, 20 years later. And they could be confused by what is said. Like, slang changes so fast in English that it's hard to say what's right and what's wrong. Now, I implore you, as the viewer who is listening to me talk about this, that I'm not trying to signal boost Manga Lawyer here or condemn Katrina here. What I'm trying to say is that when you live inside an echo chamber and no one can tell you what you're doing is wrong, or you just filter them out, you end up with problems like this. And from my understanding, this person's like the head editor. Look, I was playing Visions of Mana yesterday, and I'm sitting there, and the party falls down a cliff, or in a trap. Let's just say it's a trap. It's a hole. They fall in a hole, and one of the characters goes, "Is everyone all right?" More or less. And they made Val in English say, "Only my pride." Now, in Japanese, he just says he's all right. No joke, no further context, nothing needed. I don't understand why you take a character like Val, who I feel is very sincere, a very serious, but also a very soft character, where he wants to help other people, regardless of the situation. Like, oh, I've got to do this important mission, but this person needs help, so it's on my way. I'll help this person out. He's more of a selfless, hero type. And I don't think it's fair for you to take a person like that, who just said, "I'm fine," or "I'm all right," and make him make this elaborate, "Only my pride." He's not egotistical enough to say that. I feel like you don't understand the characterization if you're at that point, if you're gonna change a line to that. Oh, well, the people won't like it. Or maybe the voice actor decided to change that. Does the English voice actor not understand the character? I am genuinely interested here. Do you guys think that I have the wrong impression of Val? Have you played Visions of Mana? I'm just curious. If you've played Visions of Mana, you can write below, or even just DM me on Twitter with what you think about Val. I don't like the way he fights. I don't like a lot of his choices for characters, so I usually play Katrina. But that is what it is. All right, now I have prepared for everyone some anime lines that are localized incorrectly. Now, one of these people like, and 3 of these people probably didn't. Well, one of them probably people knows. Let's take a look at it. All right. So we got 4 different shows here. 4 different years, even, almost. Gabriel Dropout in the bottom corner there being the oldest. Hopefully you can read this okay. I have to look at like in a tiny window. So let's start at the top with Bochi. And the Shonen Yoku Monster. Approval seeking monster. And if you can read it, I believe I can't read the English one. Yes, it says the attention whore monster. Look, you were close. I get what you were going for, but I know for a fact that was wrong even when I heard it. It's funny, but it's wrong. Approval seeking monster is just as funny. Like, whore is not a word. Or it's not a word used like this in Japanese from what I have seen so far. It doesn't get used as like you attach it to something, like it's a suffix. I might be wrong. It might come up sometimes, but we do this thing where it's like you're a whore, you're a whore. But it doesn't seem to be that way in Japanese, so it doesn't get used that way in slang. So it is approval seeking monster. Okay, next we have From One Room, Good Lighting, Angel Included, I believe is the title. Very zoomer, very cute. She's talking, so the line before is she's talking about we should make a heart because hearts are joskose poi, high schooler like, high school girl like. I would have gone with trendy, very cute because it's hard. Joskose poi. I know that joskose poi, or at least says JK poi, because you can condense joskose into just JK. Not the English JK, just kidding. The Japanese one, joskose. So, joskose poi. So. I would have gone with trendy. Trendy would have gotten this across. Zoomer is just, I don't even understand. Zoomer is weird because people are like, oh, it's the boomer, blah, 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 millennials. The thing is that Zoomers were the generation after boomers. And then this has been changed. My mom listens to classical, and there's literally a thing they talk about the Zoomers' guide to living well. And it's like these people are retirement age, you know? So let's change the definition of words and generations, everyone. Let's not use this. Just trendy. Very trendy, very cute. Works. Okay. Third one here from Hyakukano. The 100 girlfriends that really love me. You don't even need to know a word of Japanese to see that this is wrong. You don't even need to see much more than just this panel and go, what were they thinking? It's the Kiss Biohazard. Yes, it's a Resident Evil reference. So why did you do this? Just Kiss Biohazard. Translator note. Resident Evil is called Biohazard in Japan. Done. You look like an idiot for doing this. This is egregious. This is so bad. Translator note was all you needed. And then this one from Gabriel Dropout. Infamous one from Gabriel Dropout. Used probably 100 times in other memes that you've seen. Itadakimasu. Thank you for the food. I feel like the whole joke of this scene is lost when you do stuff like this. If you've never seen this episode, it starts off with a day off. And she gets up, she takes out her trash, she like sweeps up around the garbage area in front of the Jizo, and she goes back in, she makes breakfast, she sits down, she has breakfast. Then it shows Gabrielle getting up, like slovenly, eating whatever, doing stuff. It's like the two of them on their day off. The whole joke is that Vanette here is a demon, and she acts more like an angel than Gabrielle, who acts more like a demon, or just like she's slovenly. She gets up, she does stuff, like she just gets instant noodles basically. Her room's full of trash. They're like polar opposites, and they're polar opposites what they're supposed to be. When you do something like this, through the Dark Lord, amen, instead of just thank you for the food, the joke falls apart. I don't know if you got it. I'm sorry that I had to explain it to people that hadn't seen it yet, or maybe you had seen it. That's a recurring theme to the entire show, is that the demon character acts more like an angel than either of the angel characters. Gabriel and Raphael, Raffi, as they call her, are not the nicest of angels. Tepris is a nicer angel, but she's also kind of airheaded. And then Satania's just Satania. Although, so I just wish that we could have a happy medium somewhere. Like, these bottom two are egregious. The One Room Angel isn't too bad. I can get over it. There was another one I didn't grab screenshots of, but it's like one side says, had no thoughts. Like, what is like a character who's like, oh, I wish he'd do this. And the other character's like, thought about it and had no thoughts. And it's like, lewd thoughts, not lewd thoughts. And I'm like, you know, you don't have to spell it out for people. People aren't this dumb that you have to be like, oh, it's lewd thoughts. She thought about it. The other girl did not, has no thoughts about it. So, I'm not going to tell you that you should go out and you should start learning Japanese. You should just listen, and then start hitting a textbook and really getting into it. I'm not going to tell you that's how you should do it. What I'm going to tell you is, when someone like me or other fan localizers or fan translators tell you that there's a problem with what is said and what is written, you listen and you signal boost it and you go, hey, can we stop doing this? Why is this a thing? This shouldn't be a thing. Your job is not to make your story or your narrative fit on top of this character. It's for this character to be themselves. And I feel like it's kind of obvious sometimes when you're reading through these translations and a character comes out, there's like contradictions. It usually happens with scenes that are voiced versus scenes that aren't voiced. And the characterization in scenes that aren't voiced always feels very stagnant to me. Like super stagnant. It's like, we are reading off a script. Just reading is like, what? And I always thought that was just, that's just the way that works. Until I read the Japanese versions of some of these things. And it's like, wow. There's actually expression and like notations in here. Like, when I read English, I feel like a lot of the time it's bland. It feels bland. Unless someone's like, when it's translated from another language, it's bland. It's got no character. It's got no whatever. Japanese is a very different language, and honestly, it's astounding how much, even with written Japanese, you can get out of how much character you can get out of a single or a couple characters. It has been an amazing and worthwhile experience for me to learn it. And I'm going to continue to learn it. I'm going to continue to get better. I'm going to continue to translate things, fan translate things, translate little comics on the Discord, and do whatever. Because honestly, there's so much out there. There's so many people out there that are on your side, that believe in the more fun, the real thing. Like, the whole argument of the modern audience. The modern audience doesn't exist. We all saw Concord crash and burn. We're all seeing what's happening with Star Wars Outlaws. And we're seeing what's happening with Assassin's Creed Shadows. We're seeing what's happening with Dragon Age Veilguard. We're all painfully aware of what's going on. And it sucks that in the case of the Japanese games, that the problem isn't with the creators. It's not with them at all. The problem is with the localizers. But it only seems to be a problem in English. I have friends who speak Portuguese, Spanish, and other languages. And they tell me, because we'll compare notes on things. I get asked questions about translation things, because sometimes a joke doesn't translate. And they do another thing instead. But the problem is that for whatever reason, with English localization, there's a group of people who are wanting to put their politics into our media. And we need to actually, it's always a problem when you want to put politics from the West in our media. In Japanese media, I should say. I shouldn't say our media, because it's Japan's medium. And honestly, it's why people gravitated to manga and anime to begin with, because it's different. It's not the same stuff we get here. It's something completely different. You get to have a look into another society. So when you, the localizer, have decided to take that characterization and to take the identity of the show and twist it to make it fit your narrative, you are doing a great disservice to everyone involved. And it shows how unprofessional you really are. Maybe that was a bit harsh, but I feel like it's the truth. If you're going to put this thing out and you're going to be like, oh, they're talented, hardworking professionals, Are they really talented professionals if they feel the need to change a simple line? Like a line as simple as "I'm fine" to "Only my pride is hurt." Not everything needs to be a joke. Not everything needs to be funny. This is what happens when you get it's the snowy village. It's Snow Village. This is what you get when it's a straight translation. Okay. I've seen your arguments, localizers that change things. I've seen them. And I'm going to reply to you. Then why do you keep doing it if you know people don't like it? Why do you keep pushing your narratives onto these characters? If you don't like these characters, why can't you just let them be themselves? These characters are written to be a certain thing. And there may be characters that I absolutely and utterly despise that I have to translate. But I'm not going to translate them to make them sound more of an ass than they already are. Because that's not the kind of person that I am. And that's not my job as a translator. My job as a translator is to get the point across to the rest of the team so they can decide how best to do stuff. And if the rest of the team is the problem, and the rest of the team are the ones that are adding this, then they're the problem. It is not just me translating manga. It is me, I translate it, I get it to a point where I think it makes sense, but the problem is sometimes I'll say something that makes sense to me, but it won't make sense to everyone. Like, there's a scene in Persona 3 Reload after you beat the game and you talk to one of the teachers, or the teachers are having a discussion. There's one teacher who speaks English and Japanese, and she does it like over top of it. It's I don't know how to explain it other than it made my brain tingle. Because I'm just sitting there going, ooh, like one side of my brain is like, I understand this, and this is really, and I'm like, it is a weird situation. Now, in the English translation, it doesn't have any of that, but in the Japanese audio, she's like, I'd have to record it to say, but she's like, at least she's like, Watashi wa does something better, or husband, or I'm moving, or I don't know, but it's like English word, Japanese grammar particle, Japanese verb. It's like, oh my god. Ugh. So, like, I understand it as spoken, but it makes my brain feel fuzzy. It's like there'll be a lot of times where I will understand what is spoken. I'll understand 100% what it said. Could I tell you exactly what it said? No, because I'm not an interpreter. That's just not who I am. I don't have that kind of skill set yet, or not at all. So, if you're a localizer and you're watching this, come on. Come on. I know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. You know what you're doing is wrong. Just stop it. Stop it. I want you to do better. Because this media isn't going to be, this media is going to be around longer than we are. People are going to be able to play these games or watch these shows long into the future. And when you change things to make it reflect the current political climate, then you're literally doing a disservice to the medium, to the media itself. And I just can't abide by that. I can't abide by that at all. You have the power to do better. So it's time to get out there and do your job the way you're supposed to do it, not the way you think you should do it. I think that's enough nattering on from me. Thank you for tuning into this special translation / localization talk with Torloth. If you ever have questions about a translation or you think something's off in a thing, you can send me. You can send me pictures or whatever. You can tag me in a post if you need to on Twitter or whatever it's called now, x.com. My handle is still at Torloth. Feel free. If you want a fan translation, if you want a translation for some comics sometimes, if it's something I know, it's a lot easier to do. If it's something I don't know, I might get something wrong when I translate it. So I just need people to understand that sometimes, like, a name can be completely different. Like the other day, okay, I'm slightly off track. The other day, because sometimes I'll put in a translation to translate so I can hear it spoken. So I'll be like, okay, I get it. And then sometimes you'll look at what it writes and go, what? There's one from Precure. Wonderful Precure. Now, one of the characters' names is Satoru. Now, it is written with the same kanji as Goku. So that's been a joke. There's been a joke that comes up, and it's like Goku and Satoru have the same kanji for their name, but they have two different readings. Okay? Fair. And if you put it in translate, they'll be like, Goku-kun. It's like, no. 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 So names could be a problem, but I can maybe look them up if I need to. But again, if you want, as long as it's not like, if you're asking for a whole chapter, I'm probably going to decline. If it's like a couple of words or a 2 or 3 panel comic, go ahead. If I've retweeted it, there is a chance that I have a translation for it somewhere and I can just send it to you. So, that's also a thing. But thank you so much for watching. I got really long-winded here. Oh my god, it's almost over half an hour. Oof. Okay. Until next time. Matane.